The orbiting academy of Aurelia Prime glimmered against the endless black of space, a sprawling network of gleaming spires, docking bays, and laboratories suspended above a pale blue planet. Ships of every shape and size slid past each other like fish in a cosmic stream. Among the bustling cadets and officers, a single human quietly moved along the corridors, mop in hand. His uniform was simple, slightly worn, his steps deliberate. Ethan Crow. He had been nothing more than a janitor for the past 3 years on this prestigious station, yet the lines on his face hinted at a past that had seen stars, battles, and secrets that most could only dream of. He passed rows of cadets laughing and talking, their boots clicking sharply against polished floors. None spared him a glance. No one noticed the faint hum of an older mind behind tired eyes. Then came laughter, a sharp, clear, mocking sound that echoed down the hall. Ugh! Look at him! That's the human janitor. He couldn't even polish a brass rail without making it look like a disaster. Ethan froze. His hands gripped the mop just a little tighter. The voice belonged to Lyra Cien, a young Lyrian cadet with eyes like molten silver and a laugh like cracking glass. She thrived on attention, on the thrill of superiority. And humans, as always, were beneath her notice, objects of amusement. Maybe he should stick to cleaning toilets instead of pretending he belongs here, she added, stepping forward with the elegance of someone who knew the weight of her beauty and status. Ethan said nothing. He nodded slightly and continued down the corridor, the mop dragging faintly across the floor. No one had taught him to fight with words anymore. His battles were elsewhere, silent, inside himself. The day began like any other, routine and dull. Ethan moved from bay to bay checking engines, cleaning the corridors, and ensuring systems were functional. Cadets ran simulations, practiced drills, and made mistakes, often calling for assistance that only officers or engineers could provide. Ethan was rarely needed. He was invisible, but invisible men often see what others cannot. By mid-afternoon, the Academy received a routine assignment, a simulation run of the training frigate Zephyr. Cadets would navigate asteroid fields, simulate combat scenarios, and test ship coordination. It was a mundane drill, yet crucial for understanding the cadets' ability to react in emergencies. Ethan lingered in the maintenance bay, polishing the last panel of an older console. He had no intention of being part of this exercise. He didn't belong. That was the point. Then, a sharp alarm echoed through the corridors. All units, simulation breach. Emergency override initiated. A series of red lights flashed, bathing the hall in warning. Something was wrong, very wrong. Ethan's hands froze on the panel. The Zephyr's communication grid was offline. The AI had started repeating commands in error. Screens flickered, a low hum grew to a roar as auxiliary systems struggled to maintain life support. Cadets outside panicked. Through the comms, Lyra's voice was clipped and tense. "Chief Engineer, respond! Systems are failing!" Ethan grimaced. Chief Engineer? That title hadn't belonged to him in years. He didn't correct them. Not now. The ship needed someone who understood it, someone calm enough to act. He moved to the nearest console. Fingers danced over keys in a pattern no cadet could have known. He spoke words in a language half forgotten, commands crafted decades ago. The screens blinked, lights pulsed, and then the ship responded. A holographic projection shimmered into life before him. The AI interface spoke, metallic yet familiar. Command recognized. Welcome back, Chief Engineer Crow. Cadets froze. Panic gave way to astonishment. Lyra's eyes widened in disbelief. She opened her mouth, closed it, then stared. For the first time, Ethan was no longer invisible. "Crow," she breathed. You're him?" He didn't answer, not immediately. Calmly, he walked to the central command console. Every motion precise, confident, every calculation exact. Zephyr's systems, previously faltering and unstable, now hummed with perfect synchronicity. He glanced at Lyra. She looked ready to challenge him again, to scoff, or call someone else to take over. But she didn't. Not yet. She watched. Ethan's voice was steady, quiet. "Step back. Let me handle this." No one moved. No one spoke. The only sound was the ship's own heartbeat, steady and responsive to his touch. Minutes stretched like hours. The asteroid simulation turned into chaos. Floating debris, emergency overrides, alarms, and systems failing one after another. Cadets floundered. Officers shouted. But Ethan moved like a shadow, unseen yet omnipresent. Every panel he touched, every code he entered, brought the ship back from the brink. And then, the unexpected. A surge of energy hit the ship. One of the auxiliary drives flickered, threatening. "To blow!" Lyra gasped. "Crow, it's going to explode!" Ethan didn't panic. He pressed a sequence of keys, muttered a line of code in that long-forgotten language, and the drive powered down safely. The threat vanished. The cadets stared in awe. Lyra swallowed hard, realizing that the man she had mocked moments before was no mere janitor. The silence after the chaos was thick. For the first time, Zephyr was quiet, calm, obedient. It was a living ship, acknowledging its creator, following his guidance without question. Lyra finally spoke, her voice almost reverent. You saved us all." Ethan gave a faint nod. "Didn't need saving," he said softly. "Just needed to remind the ship who it belongs to." For the first time, laughter did not sting. It faded into the background of the vast, humming corridors. The ship's response, precise and unquestioning, was louder than any mockery could ever be. And somewhere deep in the shadows of the academy, cadets whispered, "The human janitor. He's not just a janitor." The corridors of Zephyr now hummed with a calm energy, almost reverent, as though the ship itself acknowledged the presence of its true master. Cadets slowly recovered from the panic, eyes still wide with awe, following Ethan's movements as he navigated the console with flawless precision. Lyra remained frozen in place, struggling to reconcile what she had seen. The human she had mocked, dismissed, laughed at, had saved them all with nothing more than his knowledge and quiet command. Why didn't you say anything?" she asked, voice low, almost a whisper. Ethan's eyes, dark and steady, met hers. "Because it doesn't matter what I say. It only matters what the ship does." A subtle shift passed between them, an unspoken acknowledgement of mutual respect. Lyra's pride bristled, but curiosity flickered in her gaze. The AI interface flickered again, showing a warning. "Unknown external signal detected." Unauthorized vessel approaching. Cadets froze. Pirates. They were real, not a simulation. The Academy's remote location in the outer sector made them vulnerable, and the Zephyr had been drifting alone, a tempting target. Ethan moved to the tactical console. He examined the approaching vessels, lines of alien text dancing across the display. "They're not here for training," he muttered. "They've tracked the signal." "We'll need to act fast," Lyra swallowed. "You can fight them?" "We're just cadets. We We don't know how Ithan smiled faintly, a small, grim curve of lips. No, but the ship knows how. I just need to guide it. He began issuing commands in the ancient control language, a mix of vocal intonation and hand gestures that seemed almost ritualistic. The ship responded immediately. Engines hummed, shields flickered to life, and defensive drones powered on. Cadets stepped back, watching as Ithan moved between consoles, a conductor orchestrating a symphony of machinery. The first wave of enemy ships closed in, sleek and angular, weapons glowing ominously. They fired, but the Zephyr anticipated each strike, moving with unnatural precision. Lyra's jaw dropped. She had seen many pilots in simulations, many strategists in combat school, but nothing like this. "Crow," she said quietly, awe breaking through her pride. How? How are you doing this?" Ethan didn't answer. His focus was total. Fingers flew over the tactile interface, his voice low, commanding, resonating with authority. The ship twisted, pivoted, and retaliated with controlled precision. Enemy weapons misfired, drones collided, and slowly the attacking ships were driven back. The battle was over almost as quickly as it had begun. Silence returned, punctuated only by the soft hum of the Zephyr. Cadets looked to Ethan in disbelief. Lyra approached, stepping cautiously. You saved us," she said again, softer this time. He shook his head. "No, the ship saved you. I just reminded it whose voice it obeys." With the immediate threat gone, the Academy sent communications to confirm the status of the cadets and the ship. Ethan ignored the incoming calls. He moved through the Zephyr, inspecting systems, repairing minor glitches, and speaking in tones only the ship could fully comprehend. Days passed. Lyra stayed near him, reluctant but fascinated. She had expected a weak, aging human who would shrink from responsibility. Instead, she found a man whose quiet confidence radiated, whose understanding of machinery and life itself seemed innate. They explored the ship together, and for the first time, she saw the history etched into the panels, the marks of decades of service, maintenance logs, and lines of code only Ithan could read. Each command, each system adjustment, spoke of a legacy she hadn't imagined. Late one night, as the Academy slept, she finally asked the question that had lingered. "Who are you, really?" Ethan paused, staring at the stars outside the observation window. "I'm just someone who fixes things," he said quietly. "People, machines, sometimes even mistakes." Her lips curved into a small, hesitant smile. "And yet, the ship listens to you like you're someone extraordinary." He shrugged slightly, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "Sometimes, extraordinary is just knowing what needs to be done when everyone else panics." They were interrupted by a sudden alert, a derelict signal, an old beacon from a distant system. The AI interface lit up, recognizing the pattern instantly. It was a relic from Ethan's past, a project he had designed years ago, now long forgotten, hidden in archives of the human fleet. The beacon's presence caused the Zephyr to stir, lights pulsing in recognition. The ship seemed to hum with anticipation, as though eager to be reunited with its creator. Ethan's eyes softened. "I thought I'd lost it all," he murmured. "But some things, they never leave you." He guided the ship toward the signal. Lyra stayed close, watching. She realized that this journey was bigger than training exercises or rank. This was the story of a man, a ship, and the quiet power of patience, knowledge, and respect. When they reached the beacon, The AI interface displayed a new holographic figure, an ancient design schematic, showing the full capabilities of the Zephyr, far beyond any cadet's understanding. Ethan entered a command sequence, and the ship responded flawlessly, almost joyfully. "Welcome home," he said softly, and for the first time, he allowed a sense of satisfaction to touch him. The next morning, the cadets gathered to hear the story of what had happened, and the whispers began. "The human janitor. He's not just a janitor." Lyra approached Ethan in the hangar, her pride softened by respect. I'm sorry for laughing at you," she said, voice steady. Ethan smiled, a faint but warm expression. "That's all right." The ship laughed at me once, too. The Zephyr rumbled softly, its engines purring like a contented creature. Then, in a voice only Ethan and the ship fully understood, "Welcome aboard, Captain." And with that, the ship lifted off from the station, soaring into the endless black of space, carrying Ethan, Lyra, and a crew of cadets who would never forget the day the human janitor became the master of the stars. The laughter, the mockery, the pride, it all faded into the hum of engines and the quiet, undeniable truth. Sometimes the smallest voice carries the greatest command.